Don't.
What?
So,
Hey, it's just a STEM.
okay, you're misleading people about autism. Um, so I'm Dr. Hopkins, Krista, Ali, Dr. Elessar, working on changing my name. Um, I'm doing the podcast this month on autism, because it's Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. I already did a recording with Aisha, who's our yoga instructor, who has an autistic son, to kind of ask her more about what it's like being a parent of an autistic person. So I wanted to also do an episode on what it's like being autistic, and from my perspective, from my husband Dalton's perspective, and then also what it's like being in a relationship where you have two autistic people, and also like some of the complications that come with autism, being like physical health issues, and how being autistic can make that kind of challenging to deal with. So, um,
What?
so do you want to talk more about like your process of like realizing you're autistic, like when you kind of realized that you were autistic, even if you didn't know it was autism, like when you noticed it was, I don't know, that you were different, that you're a little weirdo.
I never noticed I was different. I was like everybody else.
How about the time that you, what state were you living in? Was it Wyoming or Montana when you were left out in the snow for hours and no one noticed and you were just in your own world building snowmen?
Of my own volition. Yeah.
You just skipped class at 5.
Yeah.
Um,
I was left outside for hours.
which I actually like, that's, I think a lot of autistic people can relate to that.
Yeah. But I had a lot of fun. So
Did
it
you,
was okay.
did you even notice you were alone?
I don't think so, no. Because I was just playing with myself at the start of recess anyway, you know.
Yeah.
So nothing really changed.
And
And
all the kids went inside.
and how the school was set up, because it was in Montana, and there's like nothing around. There was like a playground really close to the school, and then just like a huge field, you know. And I was just on the other side of the field. So
In the snow.
it's not.
And like snow, because it was Montana.
Yeah, it's not snow.
And you were left outside for hours.
Yeah.
And no one noticed that you were gone.
It's pretty good snow fort.
Oh, you built a fort?
Yeah, well, like I like dug into like a snowbank.
You dug into a snowbank and built a fort. Did you build a snowman in the fort?
No, it was outside.
Outside, like a guard.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, yeah, you get it. No, but I think that's actually like a pretty, believe it or not, relatable experience for a lot of autistic people, like feeling forgotten, being in our own world, being alone.
Yeah.
Like, and we've talked about like it's kind of like devastating to realize no one notices you're gone. Like,
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like we talked about that. Maybe I was saying that more. Maybe that was more of like, to me as an adult, it feels like really heartbreaking that a little kid was just like not noticed. Like, but I guess like, I don't know, we had very different childhoods.
Yeah.
So you were used to being alone. And I think you enjoyed that.
Yeah. Like I was the only child for a while.
A while, yeah.
Yeah. Until like middle of middle school. So
Do you think being left alone a lot was a positive or negative for you as an autistic person?
I think a positive, because I got to kind of do whatever I wanted to do. I formed a lot of hobbies that you can do alone, you know? Like my childhood, I wasn't like a kid in the backyard, like kicking a soccer ball to a fence, wishing somebody was there with me, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was playing games on like my PS2, you know, my Sega. Like I was just playing video games and I could play by myself. It'd be fun.
Yeah. Which like when we look at how autistic children play, a lot of the times either it's alone or they're the one directing the play.
Yeah.
It's like it was ideal for you.
Yeah. It was fun. I wouldn't change anything.
Nothing at all. But like when you were young, did you realize you were different from the other kids?
I think the first indicator was it was when I was in Wyoming. And
How old were you?
First grade.
Maybe like 6 or 7.
Yeah. One of the teachers told my parents that like, hey, you should probably be on the medication. You know.
Was that more for ADHD though, because you were having trouble paying attention?
It's because like I was constantly daydreaming. I was like back and forth in my chair.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You know, so like I was
stimming.
Yeah, stimming. Which, you know, everyone knows you can't teach a class if someone's rocking back and forth in one chair. It's impossible.
Are you being sarcastic? Your deadpan humor is kind of lost on me. So autism. No, that makes sense. That sounds like the ADHD combo, the daydreaming and not paying attention, and then the rocking. Yeah, which I guess we didn't say, but both of us are ADHD, which is like, you know, winning. Your mom started to get you evaluated at some point.
Yeah, she did. She took me to a therapist or psychiatrist. I'm still confused on like what the specific.
It would have been a psychologist.
Psychologist. Well, that's not listening to. But I went to one of them.
You know you're married to a psychologist, right? You should know this. Go ahead.
I went for like, I think like a week or two. Like we did like some testing.
Mhm.
And then we tried to go back. And I remember the person that was doing the testing just like vanished.
It happens more often than you'd think.
Just gone. And yeah, so we just didn't finish it. Like we tried, and then because that person left, and there's like, oh, and you know, we don't have any of the like notes or any of the tests and stuff.
Oh, the person took it with them?
I think so.
Yeah.
I was also a kid, so I might be remembering that wrong.
Yeah. I think one of our cats is behind the curtain.
The special guest.
Special guest, yeah. Special appearance, probably Billy. I think that is one of the things that frustrates me most as a psychologist is hearing a lot of my late diagnosed autistic adults tell me someone at some point in their life when they were children, someone said something.
Yeah.
Or knew something, or an evaluation was started and nothing ever came of it.
Mm.
And that leads to this great debate in the autism community of like, what are the pros and cons of getting diagnosed early versus late? Like, had you been diagnosed early and had you received accommodations, would that have been overall beneficial for you, or would it not? And we, of course, we don't know the answer, but it's just an interesting thing that like a lot of us had indications from a young age that people did notice that we were like quirky or weird or whatever you want to label it, or different or struggling. But then like for some reason, no one did anything about it.
Yeah. I think if I was diagnosed earlier in my childhood, school would have been easier because like a lot of times I didn't do well on tests. Just it's not because I don't know how to do the tests.
Mhm.
I just need more time with it. You know?
So
Like I don't know why tests had to be rushed.
no, right?
This is unnecessary.
It's so unnecessary. Yeah. I didn't start getting accommodations until college, and I didn't even know I was neurodivergent at the time. I was just getting accommodations because I had anxiety.
Yeah.
And they thought that that's what was making my brain work more slowly. And then after I got out of grad school is when I realized I was neurodivergent and no longer needed extra time on tests. Actually, the EPPP, I did my licensing exam. I got a little bit extra time.
Yeah.
But beyond that, just like raw dogged elementary through high school. And I guess what, in college, did you get accommodations at all for anything? When did you get diagnosed with ADHD?
With Christine.
No, she diagnosed you as autistic. You were being treated for ADHD before that
I was.
by like your primary care doctor.
Oh,
You were
was
taking, yeah, you were taking Adderall before that.
for that?
Yeah. You were prescribed some kind of stimulant when we first started dating. I'm the one who
I'm-
made him realize he's autistic, by the way.
I'm guessing my PCP just gave me
Was just like,
meds
you seem like you need this.
because I don't have any other like documents like saying that I have.
No, I know you didn't get a formal diagnosis, but like you were being medicated for it
Yeah.
before you got evaluated and formally diagnosed.
Do I need the formal diagnosis to get medicated?
It depends on who you do it. And it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on how you define formal diagnosis. It's we don't need to go there. It's
Because
complicated.
I think I just put on the little sheet, the intake sheet when I went in to see my PCP.
Like struggles with attention.
Yeah, struggles with attention and stuff like that.
They probably gave you something called the ASRS, which is an adult ADHD scale, and it's like, I want to say it's like 10 to 20 questions, and it gets at like inattentive and hyperactive symptoms of ADHD. And a lot of times, like PCPs will use that as screeners to see if someone needs stimulants. I was shocked your primary care provider was willing to prescribe these stimulants.
Yeah.
That's Ohio for you, though.
Drugs are cool.
I mean, it helps, right?
Oh yeah.
You're a different
It helps.
person.
Yeah.
On Vyvanse versus it's not.
Yeah. I didn't take any the past few days, so
That
I'm
explains.
like a little more laid back.
Yeah, but you're never not laid back. You're just less goal directed.
Goal directed.
Yeah, Vyvanse makes you very goal directed. Yeah.
Because like I think if I took 5 ounces this morning, there wouldn't be any dishes in the sink. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how hard being adults that are neurodivergent is when you have like 2 neurodivergent adults in a house.
Yeah. No, it's real tough. It's tough.
It is.
I don't know how anybody keeps their house clean.
I think if it weren't for you, you know how my dishes were.
Oh yeah, the worst.
Yeah, like I would not wash dishes for 2 or 3 months and like mold would be growing in the sink.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people will hear and be like, wow, that's disgusting. That's shameful, blah, blah, blah. But that's executive dysfunction for you. I was working full time and I didn't have the bandwidth to wash dishes. Also, washing dishes is sensory hell. And
Especially when there's wet food.
yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I had did I have a dish? I didn't have a dishwasher at my apartment at
I
home.
had a dishwasher.
You did?
Yeah. I loaded it.
Oh, that's right. But it was broken because it would come off the
I mean,
hinges.
it still worked.
No, it worked, but like I remember now that it would like
Yeah.
fall forward.
Yeah, it just fell forward a little bit.
Just a little bit.
It's
I
a
sliced my hand on one of the mechanisms because it wasn't attached.
it's a drying feature.
True.
You gotta tip the dishes a little bit to get the top water.
That's not. No, it just was poorly secured.
No.
But I think one of the bigger challenges for us, and I hear it's common for a lot of autistic couples, is keeping the house to a certain level of cleanliness.
Yeah.
Like I do not clean up after myself. And it's not out of not respecting your desire for cleanliness. It's I genuinely struggle between my executive dysfunction and illness.
Yeah.
Which I think you're really passive, so you don't say a ton about it, but I think it adds stress to your plate when your environment is cluttered.
Yeah, let me clear my chest on this podcast.
Let's hear it. It's called Balanced Living Unfiltered, so just let it all out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with it too.
Not as much as I do. Like, you're better at picking up after yourself.
Yeah. I think I deliberately try not to do anything that would like create the mess in the first place. Like I try my best to,
Yeah, and you're pretty good about it.
you know?
When we first started dating, I was astonished at how well you compensate for the areas you struggle.
Yeah.
You have developed really incredible systems of organization and keeping track of tasks that I've never seen an undiagnosed person do before. Which, I mean, but it may be that you were undiagnosed, that you had to compensate because you went into engineering and we're doing a ton of math and all this stuff. So like you probably had to have a lot of systems for organization.
Yeah, I am pretty smart and incredible at that. Is that what you said?
That actually brings me to my next point: communication. It's a pain in the ass.
We communicate all the time.
I constantly communicate at you. It never goes in.
It comes in.
It just doesn't interpret.
It gets lost along the way.
No, but like I'd say that is the crux of most of our fights.
Yeah.
Which I think communication is hard for most couples, but like allegedly two autistic people are supposed to be able to communicate more effectively with each other.
Yeah.
And we can't. Like I communicate less well with you than I do autistic people. But I think it's because your brain processes language differently than mine does.
Yeah.
And I tend to be a verbal processor and I dump a lot of information on you. And I think it's taken you a while and you're still working on it to learn that you can just be like, hey, like, stop.
Yeah. Like I'm still trying to figure out what you said an hour ago. And you put this on me. That process of me thinking what you said an hour ago was gone. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, very often we don't have conversations. I talk at you.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you'll like chip in ideas at the end when it's about serious stuff. If it's like random stuff, we do. But like if I'm...
Well, silly stuff doesn't require much like processing.
No, and I think that's something that's funny about you is you're very quick on your feet with language and quips when it's goofy.
Yeah.
But when it comes to having a serious conversation, it's like everything just halts.
Well, yeah, because I can't be goofy in the serious conversation, you know?
I think erring on the side of caution there is good.
Yeah, and like everything I say is going to be held against me in a court of law.
First of all, be quiet, cis man. Every cis man ever thinks that way. But it is, yeah, every cis man ever is like, oh, like, you're gonna take my words and use them against me.
Oh,
like,
I didn't mean it like that.
Sure. But like, no, it's that words matter.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That words matter. Like, I can't say it in a quick and goofy way. I have to say it in a very, like, serious, every word counts kind of way. Like, you know.
I don't think you need to be as precise with me as you think you need to. I think that's your own trauma around communication. I think with me, what happens is you don't tell me you're processing. You just stare at me and you don't communicate anything.
That's part of the process.
So I don't know if you're listening to me or not. Because to me, it looks like you're just glazed over.
Yeah.
But what could be helpful is if you said, can you pause for a second? I'm processing. And to speak to the point of being verbal when you're processing a lot of information is hard, you have communication cards that you've made.
Yeah.
And you just forget to use them.
Yeah.
Because executive dysfunction.
They're not in front of me, so they don't exist.
So Dalton noticed in conflicts that he has a really hard time knowing how to respond. So we bought this book called Talk to Me Like I'm Someone You Love. And there's different categories in it, like conflict or anger or love or connection. And there's different phrases. And he wrote those phrases on cards and categorized them in a binder. And he uses it sometimes. Yeah. Can you even see him?
Yeah, he's there.
He's blending in. That's Dalton's cat, Jaeger. Jaeger.
This little guy.
Um, he's a nice long-haired black cat. Um, I knew a cat was over here because you kept looking away. Um, I will say that's something that I'm working on with my own communication trauma is my sense of urgency around getting you to understand something. That is my biggest area of growth, I think, is taking a step back and realizing like the world's not going to end if you don't understand immediately. But like all autistic people have trauma around communication because it's so hard, and all of us have been punished pretty severely for saying or doing the wrong thing in social situations.
Mm-hmm.
Your nervous system does the opposite of what mine does.
Yeah, it's a super fun dynamic.
It's a really good dynamic.
Yeah.
Would you like to describe it? Why not?
Because you're better at describing it.
This is practice.
Practice?
I can describe it if that would be easier.
Live?
Live. Dalton's nervous system shuts down when he gets overwhelmed. And like it could be a trauma freeze response or it could be an autistic shutdown. I melt down. My nervous system goes from like 0 to 1,000 and I explode and melt down. And I have a lot of trauma around like not being seen or heard or listened to or believed. So when he shuts down, it triggers that. But because I'm autistic and struggle with communication, I also melt down about my communication not working, which causes his system to shut down, which causes me to melt down. And it's just this vicious cycle that becomes truly unbearable. I think we've made a lot of progress, honestly.
I think so too. So I think near the start, it was punching walls for you and me just knocking out. You know?
Let's specify knocking out in terms of shutting down.
Yeah.
I didn't hit you.
Oh, no.
Not
right.
like I'm punching you and knocking you out.
Yeah, you knocked me out.
Yeah.
Tons of times.
Yeah, that definitely happened.
Yeah.
No.
Like I fall asleep.
Yeah, like, oh no, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you used to literally just fall asleep.
Go to sleep.
It was like, yeah, I mean, and that is serious nervous system shutdown.
Yeah.
Like you could not handle it, which I mean, you shouldn't have been able to. That is an extreme level of meltdown. Because that, for me, that was a trauma plus autism meltdown, and something a lot of people don't talk about with autistic meltdowns is how violent they can get, either directed at yourself or objects. I think I've been pretty intentional about making sure it doesn't get directed anywhere near you.
Yeah.
But usually it would be turning around and punching a wall or throwing my phone. And again, like not I'm trying to manipulate you into listening, but like my brain is breaking and cannot function.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it was horrific to experience, but also the amount of guilt and shame afterwards sucked.
Mm.
But I think once we went to couples therapy for a while, and I think once we started to find some common ground there and understand how each other's systems worked, I could remind myself like, oh, Dalton's not neglecting you, ignoring you, abandoning you. He's shutting down because of the way his brain and body are processing.
Also, because I come from a family that just doesn't have no emotions.
No emotions.
Yeah, it's just quiet. Nobody talks to them. Don't do that.
No, they
just turn the TV on and sit down.
Well, and so it's interesting. You have an autistic dad, and he doesn't know he's autistic, but he is very obviously like I feel like he is your quintessential like autistic man. Like does not talk to anyone, won't really look at you, will not engage
unless it's about a special interest.
Unless it's about a special interest, like cars, Fox News. Oh,
it's a big one.
Like Michigan football.
Oh yeah, Michigan. Anything Michigan.
Chevy. Anything Chevy.
Surprises.
That's impure. No, but it was actually startling, I think, for Dalton to meet my family. Well, okay, there's 7 of us.
I know, you're all over the place.
Wait, like, I grew up with in a home where the only emotions that could be expressed were anger.
Yeah.
Or like yelling. And so you couldn't have any other feelings. Like, I couldn't be sad. If I got too happy, my parents would find a way to ruin it. But so there was a lot of chaos that took place in my home because there were 2 very young parents. My mom was 27 and she had 4 children.
Mm.
And my father was only like 4 years older than her. They were 4 and stressed and had a little autistic child. Not that that excuses any of it, but like it wasn't easy to raise me because they were confused about how I was the way I was. And so it was just constant fucking chaos all the time.
Yeah.
And my dad is definitely undiagnosed ADHD, and I believe he's autistic. And I actually think my mom's autistic too. And that combination of undiagnosed neurodivergence in mentally ill people raising 4 children, it was just
a super fun combo.
It was, oh my gosh, that's why I'm a psychologist.
Yeah.
That's how you know how bad it was. No, but I mean, Dalton met my dad, and like, my dad just doesn't stop talking. Which I'm the same way. But I think with me, I'm more aware when you start to glaze over, and I can be like, oh, he's glazing over. But my dad doesn't notice.
Yeah. Your dad talks about a lot of things.
I do too.
Well, yeah.
Like jump topics.
Yeah, jump topics. But he tries to like really engage me all the time. Like while he's talking. You know, like he'll ask me like questions like similar to like, do you know what I mean? Do you understand? Like that kind of stuff to like keep me into the conversation loop.
That is probably an autistic scripted thing to make sure that he's making sense. Because throughout his life, no one's understood him because he's autistic.
Yeah.
I do that too. Like with my clients, they hear it from me all the time. I'm like, does that make sense? And it's not even me trying to engage them so much as it's me trying to check to make sure I don't sound like I'm crazy or that my 20-minute ramble actually made sense, you know?
Mm.
So I think, believe it or not, he's not actually trying to get a response from you. He's just trying to get reassurance that he's...
Oh, so I can glaze over safely.
Yeah, no, you absolutely can. How do you think I've survived this long? You glaze over with me, and I let you, because sometimes I don't need you to listen. I just need to verbally process.
Mm.
It's a form of stimming.
Yeah.
And it's also...
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, just talking as a form of stimming?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. So kind of like how making certain vocalizations can be stimming, just talking can be stimming.
Yeah.
And so for me, something I've noticed is because I speak in a monotone voice, I speak in mixed voice. So that's between head and chest. So when I speak, my chest vibrates. And with polyvagal theory, which is a theory about how to regulate your nervous system by activating your vagus nerve, which is the biggest nerve in your body. Speaking in a monotone voice, humming, chanting, speaking more like low, actually literally regulates your nervous system. So
I do like humming.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
I hum.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you hum... I think it's when you're happy.
Is it?
And when you're like happily focused on something.
The last time I was humming, I was getting food out of the fridge.
That's perfect. That confirms my theory. I feel like this conversation is not what I had planned for the podcast, but I feel like it exemplifies a real conversation between two ADHD people.
Oh, we had a plan.
I wanted to talk about, I asked you, I asked you the initial question of like, what was it like realizing you were autistic and like getting diagnosed?
Oh, right.
You forget about that one?
Yeah.
Too many things were said.
Yeah.
No, but I want to hear that.
So just to clarify, are we talking about when I was diagnosed with like Christine on paper, or when I went to the doctor's office and got drugs?
So you got the meds for ADHD. I'm focusing on autism. So like I'm the one who made you take the autism screener when I met you, because when I met you we were just friends. And I was like, this guy's autistic and I feel like he needs to know it. And so I made you take the screener and I noticed your score was astronomically higher than mine, which didn't shock me.
Yeah.
Because
I'm just a winner.
yes, you're that's what I was gonna say, you're a winner. Also, our dog Ada is crying. She does not like when we talk to each other. It really upsets her. Being near each other really upsets her. Even if we invite her to come hang out with us, she just sits at a distance and cries. She's a German Shepherd mix, which explains that behavior. But I made you take a screener, and that kickstarted, I think, your more concrete realization of, yeah, I am autistic. Because I think then you started telling like friends and family, like, I think I might be autistic.
Yeah.
So like, what was that like? Was it shocking? Was it underwhelming? Did it make things make sense? Was it upsetting?
I just kind of
Ada, get it together, girl.
it's kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. And that was it.
Which I think is so funny to me.
Why?
Because for me, it was like this, like, you know, that Always Sunny episode when Charlie's in the post room and there's like all the different like pieces of paper and the red string is attaching them. That's what my brain did after I got the diagnosis. I was making all of these connections across my lifetime and my behaviors and my relationships and all these things I had ever experienced and recontextualizing them in the framework of autism.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
I know.
It's just like, yeah, okay.
You had the calmest response I've ever seen to getting an autism diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is really interesting because most clients I work with have the same reaction I do, where they're like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. And we reconceptualize everything. And there's even a lot of times grief over like, oh, I'll never be normal. But like, at least to the best of my knowledge, you never told me you experienced that.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I never thought myself as normal, like a typical person, just based on like, you know, like my peers, like in school.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. Like, oh, I'm just not interested in doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the things I am interested in, I kind of went into a clique of people that are also interested in that.
And they all happen to
all
be neurodivergent queer.
Exactly. Kind of naturally falls into there.
It is interesting how some neurodivergent people just naturally end up around other neurodivergent people. I was pressured by my parents to spend time around normal people. They controlled my social calendar.
Yeah.
They controlled my friends. So I had to only be friends with people who were like in AP classes and doing like athletics. Like I couldn't be friends with people. Funnily enough, I couldn't be friends with people who came from backgrounds where their parents didn't have a lot of money. Yeah. And I say it's funny because my parents came from that background.
Yeah.
And they worked themselves to a point of having more money, but they were very judgmental of people who struggled. Even though my parents had struggled a lot.
Yeah.
So I think part of all of the reconceptualizing for me was I was masking so heavily from a very young age and trying to force myself to fit in because my parents made me spend time with these people that I didn't relate to.
I guess that was kind of like a realization for me about the masking thing.
Yeah.
Like once I like learned more about masking, I think that was after the diagnosis.
What
Like,
was the realization?
of like knowing what like mask is, and then having the thought of like, am I me? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Like, what is mask? What is my actual self?
Do you feel like you have an answer to that now? Or like, are you closer to an answer now?
I think I'm closer to it. Yeah.
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 No, you are, but I mean, so am I.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons we get along so well. And I think I was talking to a client recently and explaining that like one of the like while you and I struggle with stuff that couples struggle with, because you do when you're in a long-term relationship, you're going to struggle with things and have to work through them and growth is painful. And the person you love most in the world, like if you're doing things that hurt each other, it's gonna hurt 100 times more than anybody else hurting you. So like it's messy being in long-term relationships. But what I did tell my client was one of the best things about being with an autistic person is I know that without me having to explain, you understand what it's like to feel fundamentally different from everyone around you and not have a reason why.
Yeah.
And feel like you don't fit in and feel like lonely. And that, like, knowing that I'm with someone who gets that without me really having to go into detail it feels pretty life-changing.
Yeah.
Because no one else has ever understood, I'm just making sure Jaeger's not getting in front of the camera, has understood like that level of loneliness or like otherness. You good, buddy? Just exploring. I don't know how I got on that tangent. That happens so much.
We just play back the tape. It's out.
I think because I'm thinking of some of the things that are challenging about being in a multiply autistic relationship. And I think it's also like when our autism clashes, when like you need things to be done a specific way.
Yeah, they do. They need to be done that way. Don't put the bowls in like that.
But I need them to be done a certain way, and I'm much more strong-willed than you are.
Oh yeah.
I should say stubborn. I'm much more stubborn than you. And because I get more activated about stuff, I think you're more likely to be like, just fine.
Yeah, it's in my battle.
Yeah, it's in my battle. You do. You pick your battles. But recently you did tell me, like, I don't like the way you put the bowls in the dishwasher, and I changed it.
Yeah.
Because it made sense to me. But I think that's part of it for autism is, like, it needs to make sense.
It does. It doesn't make sense. Also, you saying that, I think it's funny because I solely now do the dishes, and you solely feed the animals now.
That's a change within the past, like, week.
Yeah.
Which is one of the ways that we've done. Yes, Ada, I know. It's so tragic that you're not included.
Well, Ada is whatever you have to do.
I do think Ada has dog autism. Right. Yeah. She really needs attention.
Hasn't it?
I think she feels understood. So that's another thing. Dalton really doesn't like dogs.
I really don't.
He doesn't like the fact that they smell. He doesn't like the fact that they have fur. Slobber, which is funny because Ada actually, like, this is hilarious that she's doing this right now. She's a really good dog. She doesn't climb all over you. Like, she's usually not up in your business. Right now she is because she doesn't like that we're giving each other attention. But like, she's a pretty chill dog. But because of your sensory issues, you really don't like dogs.
Yeah.
Um, which I think is just really funny. Because like, I mean, our life is dog hair.
Yeah. I know.
It's one of the biggest sacrifices you've made since moving in with me.
I think it is the biggest sacrifice.
Not moving across the country.
No, that's nothing
It's nothing compared to the dog hair.
compared to living in dog hair.
No, I mean, you like dog hair really upsets you.
Yeah.
Like really, really upsets you.
It does.
Ada has her own section of the couch. Dalton and this is one of our accommodations. We sleep in different beds. Like we will sleep in the same bed. But Dalton is 6'8" and like fitting into a full-size bed with me just like doesn't always feel great. So he needs to like stretch out in his bed sometimes, but also like he snores and that's annoying. And sometimes also like you just want to be alone at night.
Yeah.
Like it feels overstimulating to have someone next to you.
I need to thrash around.
Move around. It's a rotisserie. Check it out. And well, a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh, well, like, you don't love your partner if you sleep in separate beds, but like, I think it makes our relationship better.
Yeah, because just last night, didn't go to sleep.
Oh yeah, so you went to your own
Yeah,
bed.
so it's fun, but
So that meant you got to get good sleep and have energy for today.
yeah.
Yeah. You were so pitiful. So that was one of the ways we accommodated. We also accommodated my difficulty with doing dishes with me now having to be responsible for feeding all 6 of our animals in the morning and at night. Dalton feeds his snake Lucy still. I don't like feeding her.
Yeah.
Dead
Yeah,
mice. After the incident of her eating a glove. Yeah. He has a boa constrictor, and I tried to feed her a mouse, and she ended up grabbing the glove and constricting it and almost digesting it. It was like halfway inside of her. It was very upsetting. But we have 5 cats and a dog, and so I take care of feeding them and everything. I'm gonna pause really quick so I can get her medication.
Yeah.
We were looking at each other before.
Oh, right.
Okay, we're back from our little break. Ada's on the couch and has her anxiety meds now.
Judged by cats.
Yes, being judged by the cats. 2 of the cats. Trying to remember.
I had it like a second ago.
And that's our relationship in a nutshell. We were talking about sleeping in different beds to accommodate like different needs, also different schedules.
And then nobody likes Ada.
Okay, I love Ada. She's a great dog. You are evil. No, I actually have a lot of compassion for your sensory aversion to dogs. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. And the fact that you moved in with me and married me while I have a very hairy, sheddy dog tells me how much you love me. Like I understand the sacrifice. And knowing how messy I was. I've gotten better.
Yeah.
I've got better. It's a little easier to be clean, I think, for someone else than it is for myself.
Yeah.
Which is like ass backwards, I know. But I've actually heard a lot of people with executive dysfunction say that. Like when MJ and I lived together, it was so much easier for us to help each other with cleaning than it was for us to like clean our own stuff. And it's just like, I don't know, executive dysfunction sucks. And I can't take stimulants because I have POTS and it makes my heart race. So I just have to deal with ADHD the old natural way. Snorting lines of cocaine. Just kidding.
Just a bump.
Just a little bump. That's an SNL joke. That's another cool thing I think about being with an autistic person is we both like, since we were on social media a lot, like TikTok, we pick up on like little phrases from TikTok. And so we can kind of just like say them back and forth to each other. Or like, you don't think I'm weird when I like, you know, say like little sound bits that I hear from TikTok. Like you give me a hard time for it, like in a loving way.
Yeah. Let's hear some of those sound bits.
No. I think Mustard comes to mind right now from Kendrick Lamar's halftime show.
Yeah.
Which is just such a good one. I think after Kendrick Lamar's halftime show, Not Like Us was in my head a lot, like clips of lyrics from that, and I would just randomly like say them. So like that happens with songs. It happens with like you'll do it sometimes if you randomly quote something, which is so funny because it used to be a pet peeve of mine when people did that. And now I do it all the time now that I'm unmasked.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably more of like a...
It's fun to catch when you're in those kind of loops too. Like, have you seen the video where someone left their potatoes in the fridge for a long time? And like the roots like started coming out of the drawers. And there's a sound bit where it's like, soil.
No.
Well, that was on loop the whole time as I was gardening.
Like in your head?
In my head.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That makes sense.
Well, and I also said it out loud a couple times.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's fun.
That's another thing you do. You talk to yourself a lot.
Oh yeah, I talk about stuff a lot.
Yeah. It was funny because I did not know you did that until we moved in together. And I'd be like, what? And you're like, nothing. And I'm like, what?
Talking to you.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry for intruding on that conversation. But I think that's...
Me, myself, and I have a discussion.
I think that's one of the ways you process information, though.
Yeah.
It's talking to yourself.
Have I ever told you the time my dad caught me talking to myself?
No.
Because I got home from school, and usually no one's home.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, house to myself, so I can just be myself. And so I was talking to myself. And I was in the bathroom and like I was washing my hands and I was just like talking out loud, like I was talking to another person or on the phone.
Yeah, it's shocking when you hear it for the first time.
Yeah. And Dad, he like cracked the door because it wasn't like toilets right there, like the toilets in like a separate room, so these are just like the sinks. So he just like cracked the door and he was like, who are you talking to? Because like it wasn't on my phone. Just me alone in front of a mirror.
Like the weirdo that you are.
Yeah, weirdo. Like I coughed.
That is funny. As much as I verbally processed, I don't talk to myself.
Yeah. And also that was kind of a benefit. One of the only benefits to like when masks were put in place, like when I used to work at Walmart, is I could talk to myself because I could like mouth my words and no one could see it because of the mask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of autistic people had pretty intense reactions to COVID for a variety of reasons. One, I think masks can be sensory overwhelming for a lot of autistic people, but I think also it allowed us to hide our facial expressions, and there was less expectation to smile at people, talk to people, to have like small talk.
That's true. I never smiled at anybody.
So I have a theory that one of the reasons that we're seeing such a spike in people realizing they're autistic is because of COVID.
Oh yeah.
Because people went from having to isolate, which disrupts their typical routine, which is usually what leads to people realizing they're autistic or unmasking because it interrupts the momentum. And then once they had to start to re-interact with the world again, they realized like, holy shit, this is so laborious.
Yeah.
And then it led them to try to figure out why. And a lot of autistic people have not been able to reintegrate and like into the typical life they were living pre-COVID. COVID's still happening right now, but like, you know what I mean? Like pre-shutdown, initial shutdown. Because it was just being home alone and working from home and not having to do small talk was like such a relief for so many of us.
Yeah, so good.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. I was an essential worker, so I still had to go into work, but like I got to wear a mask, so I didn't have to like emote.
Mm-hmm. And I was considered an essential worker too, but then eventually I got the IT job instead.
Yeah. Now we're both fully remote.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really big deal for us. Like, it can be a little hard, I think, in terms of boundaries, like, because you definitely need alone time.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of ADHD that, like, intrudes on other people. if they're around.
I'm always around.
And you're always around. Isn't that your favorite? So actually that's something Dalton and I have been talking about recently. He feels very overwhelmed when I interrupt him in the middle of doing something. So he's created a schedule now for like to let me know and share it with me on Google Calendar to let me know like these are the times that I'm doing these things. And unless like it says Krista time, like essentially like leave me alone unless it's an emergency. Which is a hard adjustment, but also it gives me more clear rules for like when I'm allowed to interact with you. But I mean, like we still like, at least as of now, like we'll still like I'll come out and like kiss you after like a session or like like if one of us leaves the room, like we'll still, it's not like we ignore each other. It's just I think to create more clear boundaries and expectations around what you're giving your energy to.
Yeah.
And it also allows you, the hope is that it'll allow you to be more focused when we're together.
Right. To avoid the whole split attention thing.
Yeah. Which has been a really big issue in our relationship.
Yeah, it has.
That your brain always has like unclosed tabs running in the background. And I can like feel like I don't have your full attention when we're together. Yeah. So the adjustment has been, I guess the idea behind it is you spend more time doing your tasks and we spend more deliberate time together as opposed to just spending infinite time together. And so you don't get the things done that you need to get done. And therefore I never really have your full attention, which is hard as a trauma survivor and someone who's been through a lot of neglect and abandonment in relationships. It's a really hard adjustment to make. It takes a lot of like trust. But it's necessary, I think, for both of us to feel healthy and good. Yeah.
What was that quote that my therapist gave me? Yeah. About like filling each other's cup. Like
You can't pour from an empty cup?
Yeah, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think part of being late diagnosed autistic is not knowing what fills your cup.
Yeah.
And not knowing exactly how to fill your cup.
Yeah, that was another thing. I wrote on my whiteboard, like I was trying to figure out like what are my needs? You know what I mean? Like I never really thought about it much.
And then you started dating a psychologist.
Yeah.
Who was like, figure it out. No, that has been hard because with how challenging communication is for you, I think you experience alexithymia on a level that I don't. It's like the inability or challenge with identifying and verbalizing emotions or internal experiences. Like you seem to have a particularly challenging time with that. Like it's almost, I've said it before, it's like you seem kind of locked in your body or like trapped in your body.
Yeah.
Do you think that's accurate? Like, do you feel kind of trapped inside your body?
I need you to give me the definition.
Oh, alexithymia?
Yeah, it was.
So it is either a difficulty with or inability to identify emotions and put words to those emotions.
Yeah.
Or like internal experiences. That's another thing. What you just did, that's newer. You telling me that you didn't understand something I said and asking me to repeat it or explain it differently. Because up until July, when we got engaged, you were just pretending like you understood everything. I found out in July that Dalton doesn't understand what words of affirmation are. And it is one of my primary needs. And we had been together for almost 2 years at that point. And this whole like blowout happened. And he, in like a meltdown state, was like, I don't even know what words of affirmation are. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me that 2 years ago? I've been asking for them. So, but I think like it's so valid that you didn't ask because you unfortunately, and I think it's fortunately now because I think we've both grown, but I think again, you've had so much trauma around doing the wrong thing or misunderstanding that you just pretend to understand.
Yeah.
But like you ended up being with someone who checks on comprehension and holds their partner accountable. Yeah, how fucking dare I?
How dare you?
I should just leave you alone and let you go play Magic the Gathering all the time. And
You get
I do get it. I learned an entire card game for you.
you know.
I played,
Now you're an addict.
no, I'm not an addict. I
I
played
had like 7 decks.
that you built for me.
I had
No, I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I also play board games now, which I never used to do. I play video games with you, which I never used to do.
Yeah.
And it's largely because you are very good at explaining how to do things that you have a lot of knowledge on, and you're very patient. You're not like judgmental, or you don't get irritated. You like actually enjoy teaching people how to do things you like and enjoy sharing them.
Yeah. Especially if you haven't done it before.
Yeah, no, you're super fucking patient and understanding. It's annoying. You should stop it. No, but what I was saying is like, because of the nature of your trauma around communication and how your mind and body adapted to protect yourself, it led to me getting very triggered because you would give me the impression you understood what I was talking about, but not do the thing I asked.
Yeah, I got real good at
Pissing me off. Oh,
well, I use it like during school a lot,
Yeah.
you know, like everyone gets it somewhat, or like, I guess in like social interactions too, someone will tell me something and I'll be like, oh yeah, how completely, yeah, I understand what you just told me. And I'll remember that.
well, you learn filler phrases, or like you learn how to pick up on like something they've said and kind of like work it in to make it sound like you understood what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing that my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand stuff a lot of the time either.
Mm.
I think the only reason I do understand certain things is because I was forced to be around people so much. And I had a lot of high social expectations, which is normal, I think, for people, autistic people who were assigned female at birth versus assigned male at birth. Those of us assigned female at birth tend to have like higher social expectations than people who are assigned male at birth.
Mm-hmm.
So people who, autistic individuals who are assigned female at birth tend to have nervous systems that go into overdrive to overcompensate or to compensate for their social communication challenges or deficits or disabilities. Whereas as people who are assigned male at birth don't tend to have those same expectations. And so I kind of was forced to learn how to work through confusion, whereas you weren't. And I mean, frankly, it was to a degree where people weren't helping you. You know what I mean? I don't think it was just social conditioning. I think you didn't get the help you needed.
Yeah.
But that difference in how we process and experience the world has caused a lot of fights between us.
Mm.
Okay, I say between us. I fight with you. You stay quiet. So you're just a little guy.
Little guy. That's who you're yelling at.
No, you're a short king because you're not quite a giant.
Really?
You really did. 4 inches taller. Would have been a giant. Now you're just a short king. You know what's also funny? I've observed people being uncomfortable with how direct we are with each other and the way we joke with each other.
Wait, who?
Like, I think it's primarily my family. Like, I noticed there was when we were visiting my parents relatively recently, you and I were trying to figure something out, and I was like, wait, stop. And I asked you a very direct question, and my parents were just like, you could see them kind of like brace as if we were about to get in a fight, and you just matter-of-factly responded, and I was like, okay, we can proceed. And like, you could tell they didn't get it,
Yeah.
but it was just a very autistic interaction where I was like, stop what you're doing, answer this question, then we can move on. And I like that I can talk to you like that, and you don't interpret it as me being mean. You're just like, yeah, I should be direct.
Yeah, just being direct.
Yeah. And sometimes I am getting frustrated with you, but you don't pick up on it. It gives me a chance to recalibrate.
You're welcome.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, you give me the chance to course correct, actually, by not picking up on social cues. Because then I can be like, oh, wait, you need to reel it in. Um, I don't know. What do you think? We've covered some ground on like some challenges in our like of like being different flavors of autistic. Any other stuff that we haven't hit on? I'm laughing at you snoring. Ambiance of our home.
Yeah, this is good.
Just another thing, something that I've had to do is slow down my nervous system a lot to be patient, to give you time to respond to questions.
Yeah.
Because you take a really long time to respond to questions I ask you. Like 5 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
When like ordinarily, like someone who, like one of my other friends would be like able to respond immediately. Yeah, good for them. No, but I'm serious. Like I've had to really be like, give him space to respond and don't push him.
Yeah.
Like he needs that space to process. It's really challenged. Like it's helped me challenge my internalized ableism.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to my question.
Well, see, that's the problem. I was thinking about it, what the question was, and like was making an answer.
And then I interrupted you.
And you're talking about stuff, and now I don't know what the question is.
This happens constantly.
So what's the question?
I'm so sorry. I don't know that this issue will ever be solved because I will forever be a yapper. And my brain moves a million miles a minute.
Certified yapper.
Certified yapper. I have yet to get a t-shirt, so I'm not certified yet, but whenever you get me that.
Okay.
The question was, are there other challenges in our relationship that come from us both being autistic?
Other challenges? Because we already went over cleaning stuff,
Sleeping,
communicating. I guess like probably like social interactions, like how often like you go out, I guess.
Like you'd prefer to go out more?
No, I think it's like a tricky thing, like with both of us, because there's a lot of times I just want to.
I mean, are you referring to the fact that I hate people?
You hate people.
Because I don't think that's autism. I think that's people suck.
I wasn't referring to that.
Okay. That might be autism. Me feeling like people suck. It's just like I've had so many negative interactions with people, like no matter how much I've bent myself to try to like conform to whatever they want me to be.
Yeah.
I've tried to be myself. I've tried to be really sweet and kind. I've tried to shut the fuck up. Like literally no matter what I do, I feel like I can't win. Like because people can smell autism on you and they don't like it.
They don't like it.
No, people don't like autistic people. There are studies that show this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. People can detect that you are autistic without actually being told.
People talk to me all the time. I don't know.
I know, it's so funny.
Yeah.
You get approached. Well, so I used to be like you and it irritated me. So I have changed my energy and my posture in public. So no one approaches me. But you're like this big, like cuddly teddy bear and you just like kind of like flop around life like a golden retriever. So everyone comes up to you. Also, you're tall, so they all want you to get the groceries.
They do always want me.
Okay, sorry, I derailed again. Can you explain what you mean about the socialization thing? Because I guess I thought, because like you go out and play Magic.
Yeah, I do. I guess it's like if we try to go out somewhere that's like supposed to socialize with other people, like like a meet and greet or a bar or like whatever. I just don't think either of us really do that.
I don't remember the last time we ever did that,
Yeah,
besides when we met at a bar.
right. Well, like, because like you've met a lot of your friends like through going to bars, right?
No.
Is that when we met Christine? Or no, you
No,
guys work together.
we work together.
You guys are
Most of my friends are therapists.
therapists. That's
Yeah.
right.
Most of my friends are either other therapists or psychologists, or I met them through treatment. Like we were in group therapy.
I see.
Or like I have one or two friends from like high school or college. Most of my friends are therapists,
Okay.
which is why communicating with a non-therapist is really challenging.
How do people make friends like at little bars?
I don't
You know what I
know.
mean?
I'm autistic. Don't ask me. I have to be drunk to socialize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's a real issue for a lot of autistic people, is like needing some kind of like alcohol or like marijuana to like be able to socialize, because it's just so anxiety inducing because you don't know what to do.
Any activities?
And that's one of the things I encourage a lot of autistic people to do, is like socialize around their hobbies.
Yeah.
For me, because I'm chronically ill, I don't have time for hobbies, and I can't reliably show up to things. So that adds on to my inability to like be a social person. Um,
So maybe that's not a good example then.
you do like people more than I do. Like when we're out in public, like playing Magic, like I'm more quick to get irritated with people and like want nothing to do with them, and you have a lot more tolerance for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference there. But I don't know if that has anything to do with autism. I think
Yeah.
it more has to do with my personality
Oh, okay.
and like lived experiences.
Because like, what about the interaction with the Duke Energy person that was trying to sell me some energy plan?
That was just me stepping in and saving you from wasting 10 more minutes of your day. Someone showed up at our door claiming to be part of Duke Energy to sell us some energy plan, which he definitely wasn't. And Dalton gets caught in these conversations and doesn't know how to exit them. But because I was assigned female at birth and had to do the whole be pleasant and smile and be nice thing for so long and then got tired of it, I now don't mind telling people to go away. So I stepped out the front door and was like, we're not interested, and just like pulled Dalton back in the house. And that was the end of that. And like that's happened before another. That happened another time.
And now I think it did. And now I'll never know if that person is supposed to be.
Your friend?
Yeah.
The person who was coming to your house to sell you something?
That's how it starts.
No, it's not. This is why I call you a golden retriever. You think everyone's your friend. If you pick up the phone for random numbers, and then like, have you not learned? Like,
No.
you work in IT. You want to work in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
You are never supposed to answer the phone unless you have confirmed that someone is supposed to be calling you. They can leave a voicemail. This is relevant to autism.
Yeah.
We've recently talked about how like you forget that you're allowed to do something or not do something.
What you mean, like
you're allowed to just
free will?
Yeah, you forget you have free will.
Yeah.
Because again, as an autistic person, you've been punished so much throughout your life for trying to exert free will that you think that you're not allowed to just make decisions.
Yeah.
But you are. You don't have to talk to anyone. You can ignore people. I don't think you don't have to be mean about it, but if you've tried to tell someone like, hey, I'm not interested, or like, no, thank you, and they keep pushing, you're allowed to just walk away. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm for.
Walking away.
I came into your life to just be like, nope, and then remove you. Okay, I feel like we've covered pretty much everything. I guess lastly, this is really gonna put you on the spot. Those are soundproof hurricane windows, by the way.
So I was told.
What are some of the positives you feel come from being in an autistic relationship?
Positives, I'd say I like the direct communication. I do like how like open you are about that. I don't know if that's autism though, or just because you put in a lot of work.
I think both.
Both. Yeah. Um, Trying to figure out if it's a thing in a relationship that I like just because it's because of autism or it's because it's just you. You know?
I am pretty incredible.
You are.
What is it?
Well, I hear.
Yeah. No, we're both really goofy.
Yeah. Like I like your stems.
You do?
Yeah.
That's honestly one of the most romantic things you could ever say to an autistic person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It really is. It's super romantic. You should put that on a Valentine.
Yeah.
With stems. Like my vocal stems.
Your vocal stems, I think they're funny. And you haven't done it in a long time, but you used to like do hand flaps.
That's when I get like really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which and last time you did that, we were at like an ice cream place.
Young's Dairy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when we first started dating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been happy since then.
Yeah, that makes good tracks. I'm pretty sure it's a stem. I don't think you can control it whenever you say in your butt.
Yeah, no, I think that is it's an autism thing.
It's definitely not this.
It's an autism. It's phrases get stuck in your head
You
and
can't
like,
help
you
it.
can't help it. Like it's almost like a compulsion. Like you have to say
Whenever I ask you anything, I already know where it is.
in your butt. I don't even know where that one came from.
I say it all the time.
I don't know where it came from at all. I must have heard it somewhere once and just like picked up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You stuck with it for a long time.
I have that. That's a long running one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope to get rid of that soon. It's incredibly immature, but
So
it's okay. I think, unfortunately, you laughing at my 10-year-old boy humor like doesn't help. Like it encourages it.
yeah. Good.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Oh, another thing I just thought about burnout episodes.
Yeah, that thing.
Like Dalton for a long time did not know when he was in burnout, and because I have so much trauma in relationships, I can detect when something is off. But Dalton, because you weren't very connected with your body and you didn't know you were experiencing burnout because you were new to the autism diagnosis, you would just be like, I'm fine. And I would literally feel like I was going crazy and being lied to. Like,
Yeah.
like I was like, he's got to be cheating on me. Like you would just check out of the relationship. But then I noticed I started to notice it was cyclical. And I was like, oh, that's how burnout works. It tends to work in cycles. And so you've gotten a lot better at recognizing when burnout is coming in or present and like and doing something to manage it
Yeah. Like,
or communicating it. Eat pizza.
yeah.
Or take a nap or like go
Watch D&D.
watch the D&D movie. That is your go-to. It's a good movie. It's a very good movie.
Yeah.
Maybe you should watch that tonight.
So yeah, after we play some games.
Play some video games.
Yeah.
Which is something I do now, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's it. Other than, me fixating on collecting cats now. And you somehow putting up with that.
So I thing, hyperfixation.
Yeah. I'd say like your long-standing, like, do you mean hyperfixation or you mean special interest?
Oh, right. Special interest.
Because I mean, I think you have a pretty long-standing special interest of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And I love you, so I learned how to play it.
Yep.
Which is, Magic the Gathering is incredibly challenging to play. It's a really complex game.
You have a special interest of collecting cats. So I got you 2 cats.
You did get me 2 cats.
Well,
I wanted to rescue sick cats.
originally we were just going to get 1 sick cat.
But Arson was huddled against Callie.
Yeah, they were touching each other.
And so you had to get both.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing we did. Arson is starting to come out of her shell. Yeah, she's a little bowling ball. I love her. She won't let us touch her at all yet, which is fine. But she does headbutt the other cats and rub against them, which is good. I think my like special interest is people.
Yeah.
And like self-growth. But I think that can be pretty exhausting for you because every day I have something new that I'm like, oh, wait, here's this thing I can work on. Hey, I just learned this thing. Like, it's constant, like, me processing, learning new information. And like, you don't ever have time to catch up with me.
A lot of your special interests that you've done. I think my favorite ones are the ones that last like a week.
Like the tornado sirens one?
Yeah, the tornado sirens. I'm trying to remember. There was one that you got really into. You needed like the white light that had the magnifying glass on it back at the old apartment.
Building metal models?
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Models?
Yeah. Oh, no. So building metal models and building the miniature little, like, it was going to be a miniature, like, donut shop, but I eventually just got irritated with it and stopped. Which I think that's the autism and ADHD combo of, like, I am passionate and fixate on things, and I churn through the fixations. Yeah. A lot of times for me, my fixations and special interests tend to revolve around learning. Like
just learning something
new. Yeah, it doesn't tend to be physical or material. I do like collecting things.
Yeah.
Like rocks and stuffed animals, which was a big part of my unmasking process. I used to think it was embarrassing that adults had stuffed animals.
Oh, really?
It did. I was very judgmental of it. And then I realized that's a fucking stupid thing to be judgmental about.
Did it make you happy when you saw my giant duck?
I was like with you when you got your giant duck.
Yeah.
Not like physically, but like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I get happy?
Yeah. Well, no, I have like 100 stuffed animals in my bedroom.
Literally 100. Yeah.
Well, it's got to be something close. There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
But that was a dumb thing for me to be judgmental about, which I think unmasking has also made me a more accepting person. Like I said, like a lot of challenging internalized ableism and like bullshit beliefs that I had no business believing. Yeah, I like collecting little trinkets and stuff.
Yeah.
Books. I hoard books.
Okay.
Like a dragon. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's about it. Anything else related to autism?
I guess meal planning.
What?
Just like
planning out meals for the week?
Yeah. I'm a pretty select diet.
I do too. Yeah, I guess you are a little bit more picky than I am.
Eater.
You've made me a more picky eater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I taught you that you don't have to eat all that junk.
Like peppers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I grew up in a home where you had to finish everything on your plate and like you had to eat exactly what was put in front of you and you had no choice. So like, I think you've helped me realize I'm allowed to not eat certain things if I don't like them.
Yeah, they're yucky.
Yeah. Like vegetables.
Yeah, those things.
Getting you to eat vegetables is impossible. I have to like hide them in cheese. The way I have to hide it is pills and cheese.
Yeah.
You guys are the same person. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Secret handshake. But the world knows well now.
Excellent.